Are you ready for a tour of one of the most exclusive, limited and most expensive Bentley vehicles? This one here is the new Bentley Super Sports. And in this video, I'll also tell you more about the future of Bentley, which powertrain direction they will go to. Actually, you know, quite a variety. But this one here is the focus of non-hybrid, non-plug-in hybrid, non-electric, because the Bentley Super Sports is based on the Bentley Continental GT. But this one here is the pure combustion engine version for lateral performance. Everything you need to know with Thomas Nautical in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here. Large front grille, as we know, black, and then here the number. This is also referring to the very original vintage Speed 8 car by Bentley, because this one also had the 8 here printed so large on the front grille. The typical round headlamps, but with this new generation, they have this, you know, this tiger twinkle, so to speak, in the side. You can see the lower bumper here in carbon fiber. That's also making the car a little bit longer. So you can take this one basically to the racetrack. It has more downforce. I'll also show you more to that in the rear. The wheelbase is the same, but as I said, the overall length is a little bit longer than the standard version. 22-inch wheels, forged ones, developed together with Manthey Racing, and you can also see the tires, so you can actually take this one to the racetrack if you like. Super Sports wrapped in and at the side, and of course the base version already has this really stretched look. However, this one also gets a carbon fiber roof to get less weight on the top of the vehicle, and overall it's half a ton lighter than the standard Continental GT. How do they achieve that? There's no plug-in hybrid under the hood, but this one here, just the 4-liter V8 biturbo without the plug-in hybrid. Then we will not have a rear bench. I'll soon also show that to you, and more weight savings throughout the car. Yet again, more downforce, 300 kilograms more downforce actually with this huge rear wing, also from carbon fiber. Once again, not to add more weight to the vehicle. Then we have these crystalline tail lamps. You can see it right here. And the turning indicators, I already activated them, also have this cascading function right there. Here in the rear, you can see this is the Akrapovic titanium exhaust. The outer tips here, however, the most impressive visual piece, actually, they are not really connected to the real exhaust on the inside, because the real exhaust on the inside is, you know, round. Interesting. So this is definitely the case for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police. You can still get the Autogefühl fake exhaust t-shirts if you like, by the way, just write me a message. More technical details. So this one has rear axle steering. So the rear wheels turn up to 5 degrees in the opposite direction than the front wheels. Gets air suspension. You can also get some comfort. At the same time, you're also flexible, and also an anti-tilt control that it always stays upright, especially also if you want to use it on the racetrack. And this is the only Bentley from the current portfolio that has not all-wheel drive at this moment. Rear drive only, as I said, 666 horsepower, so straight from hell, basically, 800 Newton meters of torque. And under the hood, we have the 4-liter V8 biturbo without mild hybrid, without plug-in hybrid, without anything. So this is the straight focus of this vehicle. We cannot open the hood today because the real engine cover and so on is not finalized yet. This is basically a display car for exterior and interior. And we can show that to you at a later stage when we can drive the vehicle for you. And driving is really what this is all about for the lateral performance. So it was really half a ton lighter than the standard version. Of course, mainly taking out the battery from the plug-in hybrid drivetrain, for example, but then also together with the other weight savings. So this is then slightly under 2 tons in weight. And for such a large car, this is meanwhile actually comparable quite light. Yeah, that's nowadays car things. You know, cars used to be way lighter, but nowadays, of course, also with like so much tech inside and with all the safety features and so on, this is in comparison then light again. Let's check out the interior. First of all, I mean, all the weight savings, it still gets the soft close. Yeah, maybe I would save that also for the weight saving here. And we have the dual glazing here, lamination for the windows, that it's still quite on the inside. Nice matte blue paint though. Hyundai N will probably also have a say in that. And then Here you can see fitting interior color. Here then also with the bright blue at the steering wheel, for example. And let's deactivate the indicators. What I really like is here the real turning jogs here at the steering wheel in this crystalline look. Right side for the volume, left side then for digital instruments and so on. And of course this metal knurling here around with the store columns, that's really beautiful and typical Bentley. Inside of the doors here, we have more carbon fiber than in this one. Everything can be individualized, of course. And here they also have microfiber use, for example, at the inside of the doors. Lower door pockets, everything is covered and also with more microfiber. And then towards the entry sill badges here, super sports badge that gets like this own identity. And the seats, they are indeed a little bit different. They are sportier, have more shoulder support, also some carbon fiber inserts, and once again the racing microfiber at the inside of the seats. There are still animal skin used here. Let's see if with their next electric SUV, if Bentley is going in also in other directions. And then let's see here. Just yesterday I've been driving the normal Bentley Continental GT again. What's actually interesting is that here you can sit way lower in the vehicle. So the normal seats of the Bentley Continental GT are way higher and you really kind of sit on the seat. Here with these, you sit in the seat. You know what I mean? The difference? And actually that doesn't mean that it's less comfortable. It's actually quite tight than here. I mean, you can also adjust a lot of things. There's like the lumbar support, for example, but definitely tighter here to hold you tight, for example, when you do a racetrack excursion. But I have to say, because they like cage you in a little bit more and you sit more in the car, I'm not sure if they're less comfortable. Maybe it's even a little bit better in a way, So it can be this way and this way with seats. Steering wheel control is also electric, like this. And two more technical facts that are interesting. 440 millimeters are the ceramic brakes that are on here. This is also the biggest brake, carbon ceramic brake here at the moment that you can get from the current Bentley portfolio. So they really maxed it out with everything on this vehicle. Let's take a close look here at the cockpit perspective. Now more to the cockpit here. By the way, this is here the key fob. Also with the classic metal knurling here around. Looks pretty cool. And then we got more super sports badge here. A lot of carbon fiber use. And at the moment here the screen is off because I can show you like the infotainment content, but you can also check our normal Continental GT review for that. And when you have this flipping around stuff, you maybe remember it from the normal review where you can have the screen, but you can also have the decoy element right there, or also these analog gauges. And the decoy element is then in the middle also, if you want that here, this carbon fiber. Then the typical analog clock that is also staying here with the Super Sports. Also pretty cool here once again with how we can put in and out the air vents right there to keep some of the classic style. And here also the nice sound of the temperature gauges. Temperature and also the vent strength. So you click this one here and then you can change the vent strength and yet you have this, nice clicking sounds. There are maybe some screwdriver sounds in the background because they're still building the stage here for this exclusive premiere of this vehicle. So I know this has been shown once before. I think there was a New York event or something, but this was the first chance we got to actually explore the car for you then. And they are also showing that then here today for the first time to a wider audience. Then here in the middle part, you have the start-stop button. And this is also where you select the driving modes between Bentley, Sport, Touring and Custom. This one then also optimized for the sportier performance. Here, look at that. Slow opening then for the cup holders. Here we have then an emergency switch off. This is always the same for pre-production cars, at least that they always need that actually. And then we have a 12-volt power supply right there, USB-C chargers and inductive charging pad. This goes a little bit further in there. It seems also to be open in this case. In the normal versions also closed like that. And you can see once again with the seats, that they have some carbon fiber in there and the shoulder support. But I really have to say, maybe I even feel more, cozy in these special sport seats than in the normal seats. What I can also show to you is the rear bench. There we go. You can also see something from that. because there is no rear bench. This is also where they saved some weight, carbon fiber insert here, everything, super sport stitching, and where they created some, let's say, cubby holes to put more stuff in there. The trunk we can also not show you today, but the trunk is the same volume actually than in the normal version. However, yeah, you've maybe also seen in the normal review, the trunk is pretty much limited, even more so with the convertible. This here, of course, the coupe. This is also only sold as the coupe for now, at least, because in a sporty sense, the coupe makes more sense to get more stiffness for that whole chassis, definitely. We had like a little bit of a convertible focus in our full driving review. And just yesterday, we've been driving a special version of the Continental GT. You've already seen it in some of the earlier shots, because that one has like a special dual tone paint, where in the front you have a different paint than in the rear, and this is handmade in about 60 hours, and they start, you know, with like a separate paint, and then they really handcraft their transition between that. So this is really interesting. And the drive, of course, is really smooth with the normal version, so like looking forward to how the drive is with this one, if it's maybe too stiff, or if they also found a good compromise with that. What I also like here is this large shifting lever. This also has this classic Bentley styling. ZF 8-speed automatic gearbox, by the way. The only thing you cannot expect from this super sports version here is the quickest acceleration, because this one here accelerates in 3.7 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, whereas the normal base version, like the plug-in hybrid version, is half a second quicker. The reason is this one has only rear-wheel drive, and it also does not have the electric support. So this one here at 666 horsepower, whereas the base version has 600 horsepower from the combustion engine. However, then combined with the electric motor has over 780 horsepower. So this is the difference, but it was not the focus of this vehicle. The focus of this vehicle was lateral performance, you know, going left and right. And then you say that the acceleration was not the main thing, you know. And of course with rear-wheel drive, it's even more agile, and you can like do all the crazy stuff with it. And what's also important, this one here does not get any artificial engine sound. So when you sit on the interior, and what you hear is always the real stuff from the engine and from the exhaust. And if you're now interested in purchasing this one, it might get a little bit tricky. As I said, 500 pieces is the limitation, and so far they are already sold out, and people are on the waiting list for that. If maybe someone hops off from their deposit or something like that, it will be some 430,000 euros without extras. So with some more extras, you can easily make it 500,000 for that one. But people were really interested, because this one is still like a pure thing. But what about the future of Bentley? What will they do? They say they want to offer, let's say, like a triple drivetrain offering. So the pure non-hybrid stuff, as we can see right here. Then plug-in hybrid drivetrains, also thinking about the CO2 fleet consumption, maybe taxation benefits in some countries and so on. And they can also drive locally without emissions. And then the pure electric ones, it will be an electric SUV coming up soon. And these three powertrains will then be on offer. You know that the Bentley Continental GT and also the Bentley Super Sports, this one here is related in the technology to the Porsche Panamera. And this is, I think, a big advantage. And the new upcoming electric SUV will be related to the Porsche Cayenne electric, sharing all the technology inside the Volkswagen Corporation. Definitely makes sense, something where Bentley profits from. And then, I mean, this is like now the sporty example for that. But usually in comparison to the Porsche pendant, they will go in a more Bentley, more comfort-ish direction. That's what we also expect then from this electric SUV. So this is about the update for all the Bentley news and so on. Soon we're going to drive that for you.